I'll give you guys the top 10 best class setups in Modern Warfare 3, and we are going to start out with the fan favorite MCW. Throw on the 16.5 MCW Cyclone Long Barrel for bullet velocity and range, aiming out of sway and firing aim stability. 5.56 NATO high grain rounds for bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of some recoil control. 60 round drum unless you're comfortable with the 40. Either are completely fine. You do get a little bit more cons with the 60, but I don't think it's that noticeable. RB Claw PSL grip for firing aim stability, gun kick control and recoil control. And last but not least, the Mark III reflector. This thing literally takes no effort to use. It's still the easiest weapon to use in Modern Warfare 3, and if you don't have this in your arsenal, even just, as a just-in-case type weapon, then you're doing it wrong. So this is the best class setup right here. Make sure you guys screenshot it. This is the best class for the MCW. If you guys want me to do something with the conversion kit, let me know in the comment section down below by typing MCW. Next is the SVA 545. This is a very slept on but very powerful weapon. On the STV precision barrel for aiming out of sway, bullet velocity and range, gun kick control and recoil control. 5.45 high grain rounds for bullet velocity and damage range. 60 round mag unless you want to use a 45. Either way is completely fine. Main V6 stock for gun kick control and recoil control. And last but not least, the Mark III reflector. This thing is incredibly easy to use, and because the two first bullets are incredibly fast, you're probably going to shock your enemy much faster than they can react to you. So if you even just want to have it in burst fire mode, it still kills incredibly fast that way too. It's just a fantastic weapon to have in your arsenal. So guys, feel free to screenshot this one right here. If you made it this far, comment meta. Next, the Ram 7, and I have two classes for you guys actually. They're on the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor for being undetectable by radar, recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range. The FTAC SP10 angled grip for horizontal recoil, aiming out of sway, gun kick control, and aim walking steadiness. 40 round mag, retort 90 grip tape for firing aim stability, gun kick control, and recoil control. And HVS 3.4 pad for gun kick control and recoil control. This is the end product right here. It is an absolutely amazing, incredibly low recoil weapon that's very easy to use. Now, I do have one alternative if you guys don't like the cons of the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor and you guys just want the recoil control. Instead of the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor, throw on the monolithic suppressor right here. So it'll give you no sprint to fire penalty. You can just get right into the action. Completely your choice though, whichever one you want to use. You still do get all the benefits of the recoil control without the penalty of the sprint to fire speed. So whichever one you want to throw on there, like I said, feel free. I just think that the previous choice was better. This is a fantastic alternative though. If you want to throw this on there, feel free to screenshot it. Remember, if you guys don't want the monolithic VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor, if you don't want the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor, throw on the monolithic suppressor. The Striker, throw on the Sonic Suppressor S for being undetectable by the radar, bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of aim walking steadiness, sprint to fire speed, and recoil control. Now, if you don't like this, we can actually choose the alternative of the Shadow Strike Suppressor S. If you don't want any cons, you'll still be undetectable by the radar, but the only thing is, you won't get the bullet velocity and damage range. I don't really recommend the Monolithic Suppressor or anything like this, just because it already has low recoil, and you don't want to compromise your damage range with any of these other ones. So the Sonic Suppressor S is just the overall best choice. Throw on the Striker Recon Long Barrel for bullet velocity and range and aiming out of sway at the cost of hip fire and attack stance spread, sprint to fire speed, and aim walking speed. Now the beautiful thing about this is with this entire loadout, I am going to be taking care of these cons. So it doesn't really matter that these cons are here for now. I see some people using the Striker Elite Long Barrel. The only downside to that is it doesn't give much bullet velocity and range the way this does. And this does give aiming out of sway. Plus, the addition of recoil control and gun kick control just isn't necessary because it already has low recoil. These things also are unnecessary because the other things we're going to be adding to the attachments, and it's just decreasing bullet velocity and range, which will make this basically a pea shooter when this is very optimal. Throw in the .45 auto high grain rounds for no enemy skulls, bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of recoil control. Now, I don't really recommend any other alternative just because, one, I don't really see one, and two, I just think that this is the best possible choice. You do get a reduction of recoil control, but it's something you won't notice because, like I said, this thing has very low recoil as it is. 60 round drum. Now, this one's kind of personal preference. You can use 48, and honestly, the cons will actually be better, and this is probably more of the meta option. But I like using 60 round drum just as many bullets as possible, and I don't really see too much of a difference with this class setup. So if you want to use 48 or if you want to use 60, completely fine, whichever one you choose. And last but not least is no stock. This helps with aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, aim walking speed, and hip fire attack stance spread. Now, the difference between this loadout and, say, like a class setup in Warzone is in Warzone, I use the RB Critalis Assault stock, which helps with gun kick control, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed. And with this gun already having low recoil, you don't really need the addition of gun kick control, but it is something I like having overall for Warzone. Now, with multiplayer, I don't think it's as essential because it already does have low recoil as it is, and it doesn't really take as many bullets to kill. So you're going to have the low recoil in the initial amount of bullets, and then it may start jumping after maybe the 10th or 11th shot, but I don't really think it's necessary. So I'm going to show you both with no stock and the RB Critalis. So I put on one plate just because that's the general idea of what the health is going to be like. So you guys see, it doesn't have much recoil. Even at long range, it's not that bad. I mean, I think that you'll have enough time to actually get the job done, and the ADS is actually pretty quick. So it's completely up to you whether you choose to use no stock or not, but I will show you what the KATT-AMR actually looks like. So with the KATT-AMR, it actually, as you guys see, has significantly less recoil. It's actually a whole lot easier to control the recoil. So some people may opt towards the RB KATT-AMR, but you do get a little bit less of the perks that you would get with the no stock. So it's something that you have to weigh your options on. So with all these said and done, if you guys want to screenshot this class setup, feel free. But if you don't want to use the RB KATT-AMR assault stock, then the no stock is, in my opinion, just as good. And this is the first class for the meta loadout. Second class is the Rival 9, and there are not going to be many modifications for this just because this is honestly the best setup that I can possibly make. They're on the L4R flash hider for muzzle flash concealment, recoil control, gun kick control at the cost of aim down sight speed. I don't really recommend any other one just because, one, I like having a flash hider. I don't really like my flash showing up when you're actually shooting. Plus, I mean, these ones are also pretty good, but when you're shooting and this flash in the way, it's like you might as well just keep the L4R flash hider. That's just my opinion. 9mm high grain rounds kind of make this the gun that it is. I mean, it increases bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of recoil control, but you're not even going to notice the recoil control because the other attachments we're going to have on there. I don't really recommend any other attachments just because it's not really optimal. I mean, maybe bullet velocity, but this increases bullet velocity more than the bullet velocity perk. So, I mean, you honestly might as well just keep the high grain rounds and sacrifice a little bit more recoil control that we're going to compensate later on. Go on the 40 round mag. Now for multiplayer, I don't recommend 50 just because the cons are way too high. It's something I actually notice more than anything else. I think 40 is the sweet spot. If you want to use 50, then feel free, but you're going to be losing more gunfights to sprint to fire speed. Now for recoil control, I throw in the Rival Vice Assault Grip for gun kick control, firing aim stability, and recoil control at the cost of aiming out of sway. Now obviously you can use, say, an underbarrel, but I mean, in my opinion, this is actually just perfect. And the MTZ Marauder stock for gun kick control, aiming out of sway, and firing aim stability at the cost of aim walking speed, movement speed, hip fire attack stand spread, and sprint to fire speed. The end result is this beautifully OP SMG. I mean, I can't hit the super long range shots just because I have a little bit of stick drift, but the short and medium range engagements, which you're actually going to mainly be in, are just way too easy in my opinion. It just doesn't take much effort. So this is something that I would highly recommend, especially for competitive players. If you guys want to play competitive, you guys want to sweat in multiplayer, it doesn't really matter what you guys do. This is a go-to class setup, and I think you guys will do a fantastic job. Now, I will show you guys one more thing. I did mention if you guys wanted to use this setup, you could, but if you wanted to take off the Rival Assault Grip, you can throw on the Brune Heavy Support Grip for gun kick control, aiming out of sway, horizontal recoil, and firing aim stability. And then this will be the end product right here. It's something that really doesn't move, and in my opinion is absolutely ridiculous. Now, like I said, I have stick drift, so the long range engagements, no matter what I do, are just gonna be tough for me. But for someone who doesn't have stick drift, it's just gonna be very, very easy. And in my opinion, this does actually do a pretty good job. Like, the recoil kind of is not there, but it's completely personal preference. Whatever you guys want to use, feel free. I said I wasn't even going to change this class setup, but if you guys want to use this class setup instead of the initial one, feel free, and you're going to have even less recoil. I just think that the one with the Rival Vice, Rival Vice Assault Grip is just more optimal. Next is the best assault rifle in the game, and that is the Holger 5.56. They're on the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor for being undetectable by radar, recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of aim down sight speed, aim walking standards, and sprint to fire speed. They're on the 5.56 NATO high grain rounds for bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of recoil control, which you will not notice. 40 round mag, I mean, this is just as high as it'll go, so this is the best choice, and it doesn't really hurt with the cons. RB Idle Assault Stock for recoil control and gun kick control at the cost of aim down sight speed, and Mark III Reflector. Mark III Reflector is personal preference, but honestly, this is just so easy to use. It doesn't take much effort, and in my opinion, it's better than the MCW. Now, I know there's gonna be some people that are trying to go to war with me with this, but here's the thing. This weapon got banned in competitive, and the MCW didn't, so which one do you honestly think is better? If you guys want to copy this class setup down, or if you guys want to screenshot it, feel free. This is honestly one of the best choices you can make. For my snipers out here, you know I have to hook you guys up with the Longbow. They're on the FSS OV laser for aiming stability, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed at the cost of laser being visible in ADS, not a big deal. They're on the X10 Phantom 5 hand stop for sprint to fire speed, aim down sight speed, vertical recoil, and gun kick control at the cost of hip fire attack stand spread and horizontal recoil, which is not a big deal. 7.62 high grain rounds for bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of some recoil control, which you won't notice. This will make it so you don't get as many hit markers, so make sure you guys have this on there. 10 round mag for aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, aim walking speed, and reload quickness. You don't need 30 bullets with this gun, but if you guys want to use it, feel free. free. I just think this is the better overall choice. Last but not least, no stock for sprint to fire speed, movement speed, aim walking speed, and aim down sight speed at the cost of recoil control, aiming out of sway, flinch resistance, and hip fire spread. This weapon is genuinely amazing because it doesn't really take much effort to actually use. It's just a very powerful sniper. Even quick scoping, all you have to do is boom, just like that. So if you want to give it a try, feel free. Here's a class setup right here. Copy it down and screenshot it. And if you made it this far, comment sniper. The last thing I want to show you guys is the Wasp Swarm. Now, this isn't my favorite SMG overall. I just wanted to give you guys variety, but this, for pubs at least, is absolutely phenomenal. Start out with the Sonic Suppressor S for being undetectable by radar, bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of aim walking steadiness, sprint to fire speed, and recoil control. They're on the Wasp and Reckless 90 Longbow for bullet velocity and range, aiming out of sway, gun kick control, and recoil controls at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip fire attack stand spread, aim walking speed, and sprint to fire speed. They're on the Brune Heavy Support Grip for gun kick control, aiming out of sway, horizontal recoil, and firing aim stability at the cost of aim down sight speed and vertical recoil. 100 round drum. Now, I know some people are going to want to use the 50. Trust me, you might as well use the 100. The cons are not that bad. Like, the only difference is the reload quickness, so you might as well put on the 100. You might as well have as many bullets as possible to wipe as many people out as possible and have a great time. The last thing is the FSS Rampage 7 Tactical for aim down sight speed, aiming out sway, firing aim stability at the cost of aim walking speed and movement speed. This thing is absolutely busted and very easy to use. As you guys see, the enemy gets melted very quickly. Only downside is long range, you're just not going to do that well. If you only burst fire, you'll probably be alright, but you're most likely going to be dead by the time you burst fire. But the short and medium ranges are just absolutely amazing, and this is the best possible Wasp Swarm class. Next is the one-shot sniper, the KATT-AMR. On the Perdition 24-inch short barrel for aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, and movement speed. FSS OLV laser for aiming stability, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed. 50 cal Spire points for bullet velocity and damage range. Phantom grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. And tactical stock pad for aim down sight speed. This thing does not take any effort at all to use, in my opinion. It's super easy. So if you're playing like Search and Destroy and you need a guaranteed one shot, this thing right here is the secret. Long range engagements, it just doesn't matter. It's an absolute monster. Last thing I have to show you guys is the DG58. Now, I absolutely love this weapon. It's incredibly easy to use. They're on the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor for being undetectable by radar, recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range. They're on the DG56 LS18 barrel for bullet velocity and range, aiming out of sway, gun control, and recoil control. Kimura Rin 03 vertical grip for gun kick control, vertical recoil, aiming out of sway, and firing aim stability. 40 round mag because this is multiplayer, it's not Warzone. I think 40 is more than enough. And Mark III reflector. This thing is absolutely amazing with it, but if you want to use something else, feel free. This is something that's very easy to burst fire. It does not take much effort at all, and usually only takes 2 bursts to kill. So if you guys want something that is honestly gonna make your game way easier, this is definitely the one for you. So make sure you guys take a screenshot of this. If you guys made it to the end of this video, all I want you guys to do is comment meta, and I'm gonna hook some of you guys up with some KATT points.